Yeah. No.
We're all a little sadder today. A lot sadder.
No, it's just another.
Been a tough week in the world of the Braves.
Yep. Well, it's been tough since it started in March.
Yeah, for sure. I think we got a couple of former players joining us as well.
Okay, good.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining on a sad day for our organization. We're going to be joined here by our manager, Brian Snitker, our CEO, Derek Schiller, Jones, our Hall of Fame third baseman, and then Brian Jordan will be as well. We're going to allow the four to make a statement about Hank, and then we'll open it up to questions. If you guys could all please just utilize the hand-raising feature and mute yourself if you're not asking a question. With that, Snit, we'll turn it over to you.
All right, thanks. Yeah, man, I tell you, I don't even just a minute. That was good to now. I don't know if tough even describes it. It's the Braves family lost another, one of our biggest fans. And, it's been a rough year, starting in March with Mr. B and Nuxie, Don, Hank. It was, this is a rough go. Suffice it to say, I wouldn't be sitting here on this call if it wasn't for Hank Aaron. It's plain and simple. He's the reason I'm here. And I've said many times I've been blessed to be raised and around Hall of Famers my entire career. None more important to my career, to my family, my life than Hank Aaron. I mean, it's just I was excited this year, too, to get to, we were going to spring training. I had talked to Hank last year about I wanted him around. I said, I'll keep people off of you. I want you at the cage. I want you to have a cup of coffee. I want these players to know who you are and what you're about. I want you to be there, and I wanted that. God, I hate that for them, that they're not going to be able to experience Hank Aaron. I mean, the epitome of grace, professionalism, just, the man that he was. He never called me when I was a minor league manager, and the first things out of his mouth was, how's your family? And is there, can I do anything for you? I mean, it was all about that. It was, it's just exactly what the Braves embody and who we are as an organization and why we are different. And I tell people that. I told employees that in April and May. We're different. We are different. I tell our players that every year, and I've been fortunate in the last 3 or 4 years since I've had this job to get Hank to come that first time that I addressed the team, and he's there. And because I wanted them to see, this is what it's about, and this is why we're different. It's the people. I mean, there's a lot of organizations, good ones out there. It's the people make your organization, and men like Hank Aaron. Like I said, I just kind of sit. The same day I remember when, Mr. B died, when Nuxie, when them guys like that, when we lose them in our family, man, it is, it's tough. Like I said, and I say, Hank's the reason I'm here. And he was one of those guys like Bobby. If I called, he answered. It never went to voicemail. If I had a problem, if I needed some advice, I call Hank Aaron and he answered the phone every time. And since I've had this job, I've called him more than once about, this, wanting him to talk to some players, a different individual player. Always would do it. I mean, just recently I ran into him at the ballpark. He was down there doing his exercise and he sat in my office and we talked. And it's just, I still, I pitch myself then thinking, are you kidding me? I'm sitting here talking to Hank Aaron. And just a man of grace, and just the person more than, I wish I wish our team or our players would look at the back of that baseball card, because it's stupid. We used to sit in spring training when I was a minor league man in West Palm, and Hank would never talk about himself. I mean, it'd take us pulling it out of him. You know, I remember I asked one time, it's like, Hank, how many All-Star games you play? And he said like 23. I asked him one time, I said, Hank, and when you went to spring training, how many games did you play? I was curious. He goes, all of them. You know, I mean, things like that. I mean, and he would never brag. He was never about Hank. I mean, like I say, we had to pull, he had stories, but never about himself. I used to play racquetball with him when I was a young minor league manager, and we go to the Y in Sarasota, and I probably still have welts on the back of my legs, because if you got in front of him and you talk about wrists and hands, that friggin' racquetball would go right through you, and he didn't care. After a while, I learned to stay the hell out of his way. I know that. Just going to just times together, and the time he took with all of us guys, the managers and the coaches, and this was Hank Aaron, and he was doing everything he could for us to help make us better. And it's just, I could go on and on. I mean, it is. I'm sure these other guys got stuff, and just a sad day. We all lost a great friend. Yeah, obviously the baseball, just look at his baseball card, but the friend, the man, the person, that's the biggest, that's the reason for the sadness. And he did everything the right way. I'd already talked to our video guy. I said, I want our players to see, 500, 600, 700, 750. I want them to watch that home run. And we should put it on big boards around the league. This is how you play the game, and the total player that this guy was. So with that, I'll end with that. It's a sad, sad day. Lost another really, really good friend, and just a man that we all just adored and loved. I mean, it's tough.
Thank you, Snit. Chipper, do you want to say something?
Sure. Just to piggyback what Snit was talking about, we're not only talking about a transcendent baseball player, we're talking about a transcendent person in American history as well. I mean, to have gone through, Jackie Robinson kind of set the stage, but Hank took it to a whole nother level, and when you're talking about, a black man elevating himself in that day and age to, the best in the game, and embarking on a journey that would take him to the top of the home run list and passing, Babe Ruth and all that he endured. It really is amazing. He is a beautiful human. All the interactions that I've had with him through the years, I have treasured each and every one of them, because, man, it was like this guy, when he walked into the room, had this aura about him. He was at constant peace, while he was probably had every right to be militant and angry and leery of everyone that he came in contact with. Never was. Always had a gentle smile, always had this peace about him. I can remember the first time I shook his hand, and my God, his hand just engulfed mine. He truly taught me that the game was played from not only in your head, but from the shoulders to the wrists, and man, I was like, now I see where that bat speed came from. Now I see where that strength came from. And like I said, I consider myself very lucky that Hank Aaron was a part of this particular organization, because he set the bar not only for what you should strive for as a baseball player, but as a human being. Like I said, he spread his grace on everything and everyone that he came in contact with. Just the epitome of class and integrity. And it's been a rough go for us here you know, in Braves country, but you know, none hits harder than this one. It's a truly sad day for our organization.
Thank you, Chipper. Brian, are you there? We'll let him. We'll give him a couple minutes here. Derek, would you like to say something?
Yeah, thanks. You know, on behalf of the entire organization, we're obviously dealing with a tough day, a loss that, as Chipper said, I mean, this one hits different and it hits really hard. It's, you know, he's a guy who in most ways, in every way, he basically is the Braves. I mean, our brand is, and our team is who we are because of Hank Aaron. I know there are a lot of guys who've worn the uniform, but none like Hank, obviously. And not only the way he wore the uniform on the field and the accomplishments, but how he represented himself and what he did during that journey as a ball player off the field. And then really how he could have gone and done, you know, very little off the field, but took on so much, represented our community, represented baseball internationally. You know, he traveled the world and was an ambassador for Major League Baseball, for baseball fans everywhere, and certainly for the Braves. So we're really sad today. This is a tough day. You know, there's a lot of memories and thoughts about Hank. And again, I'm going to make sure that I say, especially we got a lot of condolences for Billy and Hank's entire family. You know, his kids, his grandkids. He had an assistant that he worked with here at the Braves, Susan Bailey. You know, she's having a rough day for sure. We're all having a rough day, but you know, those closest to him and knew him outside of just the man in the uniform, he's just a remarkable human being, and I don't think there'll ever be anything like him. So this is a tough day. We're going to rally together. You know, my memories of him. I joined the Braves 17 years ago, give or take. The office that they assigned me when I went to the Braves, I thought there was a mistake. I shared an office wall with Hank. And I said, clearly, they're not putting me next to Hank Aaron, the legend. And I didn't know him personally at that point in time. I, you know, met him a couple of times. He couldn't have been more gracious to me, my family. And he was just like that with everybody. But he would come down and sit in the office and just want to talk about baseball, want to talk about the Braves, want to hear about your family. He's just, you know, he had just a way about him that was special. And he was somebody that was ever present. You know, again, he was part of our management team. He was with us. He was here even recently. He was here just about every week in our ballpark. You know, he used the gym downstairs in the players' clubhouse to rehab. He always had knee issues. You know, he had surgeries on his knees, and he was always recovering his knees. Derek, my knees are just not what they used to be. I mean, I guess when you circle the base paths that many times, when you hit the home run, I guess you end up getting bad knees. But he was ever present, and just really feel sorry and bad. And you know, it's really, really tough for Billy and everybody. But on behalf of Braves country, we lost a legend today. But more importantly, we lost an unbelievably great person, a one of a kind. So it's a tough day for Braves country.
Thank you, Derek. And Brian, did you have a few words you wanted to say?
Well, you know, this morning on the Zoom call, I got the news and I almost dropped down on my knees. You know, I lost a hero. You know, as a black boy growing up, you know, loving the game of baseball, Hank Aaron was that guy. And, you know, he was a huge reason why I selected the Atlanta Braves as a free agent. Yeah, it's a great organization. But it was an opportunity for me to meet my hero and, you know, talk to my hero and touch my hero. And, you know, to meet Hank for the first time in the dugout in spring training, I'm scared to even talk to him. And he came over and talked to me first and knew more about me on the football field than baseball. But just to break the ice and have that conversation, he was such a humble man. We became really good friends. He's a guy that I will support and supported always. He was my mentor. He was fun to talk to. And as a broadcaster, to have that opportunity to interview him was amazing. The fact that, regardless of the interview, we continue to talk about history and then talk about life. He is that example that I aspire to be. And, not just on the field when I play, but off the field. The hope, the opportunity he's given so many kids today, young kids like myself, watching him grow up and seeing how strong he was through all the ignorance of this country was amazing. And how he's just stayed humble through it all. And it's a tough day for the African-American community and everybody, because, he crossed the lines. Everybody loved Hank Aaron, and it's a hurtful day for me. And I got a lot of calls coming, and it's tough to even talk about. I was so looking forward to, and still looking forward to February 5th, opening up the first Hank Aaron Academy. I'm so excited about that. Was so excited, and to hear the news this morning just crushed me. But I aspire to make it bigger and better in February 5th. So just that's all I can say, man. I lost a family member. I love him and Billy, and we'll continue to support their family.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Snit, Derek, and Chipper. We'll open it up to questions now. Zach, go ahead.
Yeah, for Chipper and Snit, obviously thinking of you in the Braves organization today. Chipper, you mentioned the handshake. Was there anything else that you remember from your very first encounter with Hank, and for you as well, Snit, a lifer in that organization?
Well, yeah. I really just want to sponge whatever I could off of him. Obviously, it was, right there around the batting cage. I had a brief meeting with him after I was drafted. I think going 1-1 in 1990, everybody kind of wanted to, meet me and get a feel for, what I was like, what kind of player and person I was. And Hank was no different. It was, just a handshake and, little hello and how's the family, how you feeling, blah, blah, blah. And that was about it. But my first real, interaction with him was, in spring training around the batting cage. He's sitting there, on his perch right behind the cage like he always did. And sure enough, you could sit back and watch, these big egoed baseball players one by one, take their turn to walk up to him and exchange pleasantries and hopefully get a little nugget that would help them, and when my turn came, everybody else had to wait because I was getting to the front of the line. I wanted to talk to Hank Aaron and see, what kind of bat he used, how big it was, how heavy it was. And man, he was so gracious and cordial, and he gave everybody his time that day. And it didn't happen very often. He didn't come around, very often, but when he did, he was all in, and he really wanted to, you could really tell, and he was really genuine that he wanted to help the guys, help the players, and give a little bit of his time. And there aren't too many guys like that anymore.
Snit, do you remember someone who's been in the organization for 40 years, the first time you met him?
Yeah, it was, I showed up at DeKalb Junior College to work out after, they had all the, the first year players in there, and he was the farm director. And he's walking around, and believe me, all of us were way too scared to go up and do what Chipper just talked about. That's for damn sure. I mean, but and then I was a player when pretty evident I wasn't going anywhere. He offered me the job, and then it was game on then, and then a friendship began. And I'm very blessed to have had that friendship with him. And just like Chipper said, he always had something for everybody. I remember Cito Gaston and I were sharing a condo during the instructional league, and he used to always talk. He goes, that guy hit over 750 homers. There's a lot of people after him, and it kind of, Cito and I would sit and talk a lot, and he put a lot of things in perspective of really what that entailed, because I'd never really looked at it like that. And to think that, there he was with us, on a daily basis. He's they're an instructional league and things like that. And it's just, it was like he was never Hank Aaron. I mean, he never walked around like he was the home run king and one of the, greatest players to ever play our game. I mean, he was just one of us. And I think that's the thing you remember most is like that said the person that he was, just how he treated people and that those things stick out and mean a lot.
Next question, Ken.
Thanks to all of you for sharing your thoughts. I had one for Snit and one for Brian. Snit, just one, you talked about the back of Hank's baseball card being stupid. Just wondering, how much did you get to see him either at a ballpark or on TV during your youth?
Really not a lot. I mean, it wasn't there. The game weren't out there then. I mean, I grew up watching the Cubs on WGN, really, in my part of the country. So, I didn't see Hank, knew of him or whatever, but really didn't ever see him play. So, you just knew who he was and all that, but it wasn't like growing, like I say, it wasn't cable TV then, I don't believe. So, it was pretty limited.
Yeah, for me, it was about learning my history and, being a sports lover that I was, playing all sports. My dad and mom always told me about Jackie Robinson, Hank Aaron. And, so as a kid, I just wanted to play. I really didn't watch a lot of baseball on TV, but I learned my history. And as I got older, I learned a lot more about Hank Aaron and some of his accomplishments. And, to hit 755, I mean, it was just amazing to me. And he just became that guy that, not only was he a great player, but, he had a humble spirit. And, again, my parents, watched him way more than I did. And he was a perfect example for me as a baseball player. So that's how I got to know Hank Aaron and learn more about Hank.
Thanks to both of you.
Mm-hmm.
Dave?
Hi. Question for Chipper. When you were playing, were your contemporaries, would they ever come to you on other teams and ask about Hank? And, did they seem curious about it? Did they want to talk to him? And also, do you think that they really understood that how great he was, that he was on par with Babe Ruth, Willie Mays, that he's one of the greatest of all time?
Whenever Hank was in the building and was down on the field, 100%, guys would come up to me and say, "Hey, will you introduce me to Hank? I'm like, I don't have to, just walk up to him. He's just the nicest guy ever. And he never gonna make you feel bad for coming up. He's never gonna blow you off. He's gonna give you, your 5 minutes. And, but to answer your second question, no, they don't know how good a baseball player he was, and I was, whenever somebody asked me that, like Snit said, you look at the back of that baseball card and the print is so small because he was there for like 25 years, worth of stats. It's hard for me to believe that they can put that many numbers on the back of a little piece of cardboard. It's like, he played for the Galactic All-Stars, we're just mere earthlings, and he was, he was on a different level. And, when you can take all of those home runs away and he still got 3,000 hits, 1 Gold Gloves, 25 All-Star games. I mean, to this day, I have to look at the back of that baseball card and remind myself, because some of the numbers just get lost. And it's like I said, you're talking about a transcendent baseball player right here. And, for him to be at or near the top of the greatest baseball players ever, I'm truly thankful that he was in Atlanta Brave.
Thanks, Drew.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Dave.
Do you ever kind of stop to think how fortunate you've been to have the guys who've kind of mentored or touched your life during your baseball career, whether they be Hank, Bobby Cox, Nuxie, these kind of guys? Because I would think most guys in other organizations haven't had a chance, that many kind of impactful guys to help them along the way.
Yeah, I don't kind of think, I do every day. And I've said many times, I've been blessed in this game to have been raised by Hall of Famers. And I mean, some of the greatest individuals, Bill Lucas was here when I was a minor league player, and obviously just saw him from afar, but just learning, guys talking about, again, another great man in this organization that was so respected. And a big loss. I remember when he passed away as a minor league player. But it's just, like I said before, it's like a lot of times I sit in there and Hank's in my office talking, and I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me. I'm sitting here talking like this with Hank Aaron, or the calls that I would get from him. I mean, when I got this job, when I won the Manager of the Year, one of the first guys that ever called me was Hank. I mean, it was just amazing that anytime there was a milestone, anytime we win a division or something, Hank always called with congratulations. And like I say, and every time I called him, he answered. I mean, it never went to voicemail. He answered, and if I had a problem or something, I wanted to bounce off of him. So I've been, extremely blessed. Number one, in our organization, the people, that's why the great are what they are. It's about the people. And for the whole 44 years of my being here, it's just, and you look at the guys, the Bobby Dews and Jim Beechams and Bruce Del Cantons and all them kind of guys. It just goes, the list goes on and on. It's Paul Snyder. That it's about the people here and how they're treated and what makes us special.
Charles?
Kipper, you talked about what other players how they would react to Hank. I'm curious, from your vantage point, sitting in the Braves clubhouse, when you would see young guys react to Hank casually walking through. Maybe you had a different perspective since your draft status got you a private meeting, but what was it like for you to watch other guys react to his presence?
Sheer hilarity. I mean, the one guy who comes to mind over everyone else was Michael Bourne. Like, Michael Bourne had this, I mean, his eyes were as big as my glasses, his mouth, slack jawed, and he just had this look of awe, like he was watching God walk by, and I had probably known Hank for 15, 20 years at that point when that happened. But let me tell you something, when he walked through the clubhouse, it was like E.F. Hutton, I mean, everybody shut up. Everybody watched his movements. Everybody listened to what he had to say. We watched him greet any and every ball player on the way through. It's funny. I just realized this. This is my little studio that I did for my broadcast with ESPN this year. And this right here, I did not plan it this way. That picture right there is a picture of Hank Aaron and I. It's the only one that I have, and it's literally right over, my right shoulder. And but that's the kind of reverence we all hold for the man. He is the greatest of all time, and once again, just a tremendous human being, thought highly of by everyone.
Bo?
Ned, I think you said that you got a call or something from Hank or text from Hank in October, throughout the run. And Derek, you said you had interaction with him here, recently. Can you guys give us, and Brian, I know you as well, can you guys give us a sense of how passionate he remained at 86 years old, and how full of life he still was, and how much he loved the organization and everything about it?
No, he was, like I said, all those guys. I said, I don't know there was any bigger fans of the Atlanta Braves than guys like Mr. B, Nuxie, Hank. I mean, and wanted us to do so good, and just loved the Atlanta Braves. I mean, and it was, and always wanting to, Hank could come in and you'd have to run into him early during the day. Sometimes I'd try and get down there early just see if I could catch him. And when he would talk, and it'd be about the team and what was going on. And still, you could tell he watched every game. And, so that it was, to this day, till yesterday, I guarantee you, he was still one of the biggest Brave fans ever, and is really pulling for all of us.
Yeah, I would add, we talked a lot. He was connected to the organization in a lot of different ways, through players, current, past, present, with coaches, with Snit. Terry and I were on the phone with him separately last week. And we talked to him a lot. He and I both did. He wanted to come in and sit down. We chatted about the team. He's always asking about the team and how's it going? How's the off season? How we doing? How's Alex doing with players? He was going to come in and talk about stuff. And I asked him, I said, Hank, anything on your mind? What do you want to talk about next week? I'll talk to you when we get there. So here I am. I have no idea what was on his mind or what he was thinking about talking about, but he was very plugged in and a constant presence. As I said, he kept an office here. He was in his office regularly. He was in the clubhouse more because he was usually going down there and rehabbing or trying to get whatever workout he could get. So he was ever present. And even when he wasn't here physically, he was with us all the time. I mean, we went to the postseason this year and he was calling all the time, asking how things were going, how we looked. He told me he watched every game on TV. He knew everything going on with the team. And, and I also say, the things that he worked out, the things that he would talk the most about beyond the team. Of course, he was excited about the team is his role in the community and the things that he was doing in the community. The Chasing the Dream Foundation was a huge passion of his. He and Billy have done wonders with that. I know that they're going to want to continue that, and she's going to want to continue that. And I think that's one of the things that we all can do is try to be as supportive of his legacy through his foundation. There's a lot of things that they're doing that's great work, and he's just poured his poured his heart into all of that. So, you know, we're going to continue to support that on our end and do what we can.
Ryan, did you have anything to add? Next question from Tim.
Thank you. For Brian and Chipper, can you recall maybe what you think's the best piece of advice Hank ever gave you? And if you don't have anything quite that specific, just what's the number one baseball lesson or life lesson you think you will carry from your relationship with Hank?
For me, I think it's, you know, as a young manager, it's about the people. It's about the players. You know, and the thing that always struck me is, like I say, I never said, "Hi, Hank, how you doing?" without him asking about my family. And I think the fact that, you know, he was always about that, how you were doing, but it was about being fair to players. And because he played, he understood. And I think that's probably the guy that instilled, this is a really hard game to play. These guys like Chipper and all these Hall of Fame, they make it look really easy, and it's a really hard game to play. And I think, you know, he tried to get me to understand that you got to approach these guys with the fact that this isn't a really easy thing that they're trying to do.
Yeah, I got the people ask me all the time, you know, what I try to do every single game, and that's keep my head down, be 1/9 of the equation that goes out there and helps your team win, and be a good teammate. Don't worry about the statistics. If you do your job flawlessly, you know, day in, day out, put up your 4 or 5 good at bats, you filled your position cleanly, the statistics are going to be there at the end of the season. That's all Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron was the one who told me, keep your head down, show up to work, do your job every single day. Don't read your press clippings, and, you know, everything's going to take care of it. So that's Hank Aaron to a T.
And also, I'd like to ask Brian Jordan the same thing. Brian, maybe the best advice you think you ever got from Hank, or the number one lesson you learned from him?
I think Brian's having some phone trouble, so we'll let him get that straightened out, and we'll go to Zach for another question.
Hey, Chipper, someone is in the Hall of Fame. Is it the Hall of Fame, and then there's a special part of the Hall of Fame for a man like Hank? And is it possible he's even, as you said, despite all the things on his baseball cards, still underrated?
Well, when I was kind of saying my goodbyes and ready to ride off into the sunset, I remember a video that came on the video board, and it was Hank Aaron. And he said, Chipper Jones is a Hall of Famer in his own right. And when he gets inducted into the Hall of Fame, I hope they put his plaque right next to mine. Next time I saw him, I went up to him and I said, I do too, because I know who they're going to first, you know, who everybody's going to first when they, you know, walk down Monument Hall. They're going to see, you know, Hank Aaron's. And if they see Hank Aaron's, maybe they might see mine, you know. But just a funny little exchange that we had right there. He's just, you know, that, yeah. Like I said earlier, he plays for the Galactic All-Stars. I'm a Hall of Famer, and I look at the back of my baseball card and the back of his, and he's about got me doubled up for just about everything. So, yeah, he's definitely on a different level.
Skyler?
Thanks for including me. Chipper, you talked about how it's hard to imagine what it was like for him in his playing days. What do you think it means to sort of celebrate his legacy right now with what the country is going through in relation to race?
I really wish we could have heard from him more right now, more so than any other time, just because, you know, he gives, I know he would give such a insightful, eloquent look into what he had to deal with in a very trying time for America, back during his younger playing days. Obviously, the amount of vitriol that he had to put up with as he's getting closer and closer to Babe Ruth. He not only is he trying to go out and be 1/9 of the equation, not only is he trying to make history, but he's got African Americans all over the country riding his back. I mean, he's representing all of them, so it's the amount of pressure on him. I can't even imagine. I mean, most people, I'm sure, probably would have quit at one point or another, but not Hank. There's too much drive. There's too much determination. There's too much want to succeed for him to quit. And that's why I say he's not just an example for African Americans. He's an example for everybody, how he handled everything with the grace and class that he did.
Next question for Holly. Hear me.
Hi, I'm Holly Aguirre with Vanity Fair and used to be at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Question for the Braves organization, and it's kind of following on the last question. Can you tell me about the Braves' plans to make a commitment to the Black community?
I'm not sure I'm following you. Could you expand a little bit?
Well,
I mean, we're obvious.
When the Braves organization pulled out of downtown Atlanta and decided to move the stadium to Cobb County, I know that I spoke with members of the Black community that felt like the organization had left them behind in regards to the Black Lives Movement and what the sea change in this country. Can you tell me if the organization has any plans to re-up their commitment to the Black community?
Well, first, we're here talking about Hank Aaron, so
right. Well, Hank Aaron is part of the Black community.
Well, of course he is. Of course he is. But I think your question starts to go into issues that have long been covered, and quite frankly, I don't think they make sense in this setting. So,
I beg to differ, but okay.
We'll go with one final question, Jay. Jay Black, you there?
Sorry about that. This is for Chipper. Chipper, is Hank Aaron's RBI record, how underrated is that? 2,297.
Well, I think it's untouchable. I think someone would have to play 25 years to be able to get to that number. And I just don't see too many people nowadays playing 25 years. First of all, you get to you get to the big leagues 2021, and you're talking about throwing 20 seasons in, and you're up into your 40s. There aren't too many guys that are up into their 40s. I guess Pujols could probably get pretty close. But man, that's a number, like I said, is up there in that galactic all-star category where it's basically untouchable. You just don't see guys play that long and consistently put up, those monster numbers for 20 plus years. I mean, you're talking about, 2,200, 2,300 RBIs. That's getting it done. Yeah. You hit 755 homers, but that's some clutch hitting, with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, flipping that single to the opposite field as well.
All right, thank you, everybody. That'll conclude the availability. We appreciate everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.